Got it. Awesome. 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 Okay. Well, hi, Caitlin. Thank you so much for agreeing to be on the podcast. I am so excited to just pick your brain and talk to you and just share your story.
Oh, thank you for having me, Kristen. I'm so excited just to share a little bit about my journey and just to help somebody because I know every journey is different and unique. And it's really helpful to hear from somebody who's done something you want to. So this will be a great
Absolutely.
conversation.
Yes, I'm so excited. Okay, so I have just a few specific questions. I'm going to kind of just see where our conversation takes us, but I just have a few specific questions just to start with. If you could just give us like a brief intro of like who you are, kind of, what you're doing, and like kind of a little bit of a background on your story.
Yeah, sure. So my name's Caitlin Cook. I'm Australian, but I live in the UK now, and I run a global consulting agency where our mission is to bring strategy and innovation to companies all around the world, so that we can innovate in fun ways to create conscious leaders. So that's really cool, and yeah, that's about
That's
it.
amazing. That's amazing. And I mean, you've built this business, didn't you say over the last 5 years, you've kind of
Yes.
built it up to this level. That's amazing. Oh my gosh. Well,
Yeah.
I want to dig into your business, definitely. But what I want to really do is go back to the part of your story where this all kind of started for you. Um, you had mentioned that you had kind of a quarter life crisis. And and I'm so interested to talk to you about that because I think we've all I remember going through that. I was a little older than a quarter a quarter of a century old, but I remember going through those feelings like, what is this all for? Like, why am I doing this? And so when that happened to you, was that like a gradual thing, or did you just wake up one day and was like, oh my God, what am I doing with my life? Like, how did that all come to pass?
It's interesting because in hindsight, it's so different to the reality of when I was in it. But
Mhm.
now looking back, I can see that it was all coming to that one pivotal moment that all connected. So to create more of a context to it. So I was working in one of Australia's leading banks, and I'd been there for 7 years, and I'd been in this one particular office for 3 years. And I was really good at what I did, and it was corporate, and so it was a very male dominated industry, banking.
Sure.
And I'm quite a loud, intelligent, I'm going to tell you how it is type of female. So I'd kind of gotten to this point where I'd just been pushed down again and again and again and again. And I just thought to myself, it's never going to be enough. I'm never going to be enough. I'm never going to pave the way that I want to pave in this industry. And I sat in my office, and I'd gone through like the same patterns and the same habit for the last year. And I looked on reflection and thought, if I'm still here in this exact office in a year from now, how will I feel? And in me, dread and just like a heaviness came over me. And I was like, oh my God, if I'm here for another year, what the hell is the point? What is my life all about? And I'm like, no, I can't do this. God, no. So I was so scared to change, but I was more scared to stay the same. So it was that
I
push that
I
I was
love
like, yeah, it was huge. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to change everything because I'm in a pattern of the exact same things happening day in, day out. And I was literally stuck in this pattern. And I was like, I'm not happy. I'm actually miserable. And I just didn't even know it. So
Yeah.
I took a career break. I worked my ass off to get a really good bonus so then I could move to the other side of the world, to the UK. And that's
Wow.
kind of where my journey started, which was like after my quarter life crisis, which was beautiful.
That's amazing. Oh my gosh. And I think so many people go through that. Like they come to a point where it's like, I mean, you're scared of change. Absolutely. Change is terrifying, any kind of change in your life. But you get to a point where it's like, if like something doesn't, if something isn't different for me, like I can't stand it. And there's a quote, and I'm not even going to repeat it right now because I know I'll butcher it. But there's a quote like that where it's like you have to get so disgusted or so
Yeah.
miserable with the point you are at, it just pushes you to change. And that's exactly what you went through. And I mean, that's beautiful. That's a beautiful story that you were that aware, of what you wanted. I mean, maybe you didn't know exactly what you wanted, but you knew what you had wasn't it.
Yes. And I think that's the thing, because a lot of people are like, I don't know what to do though. Like, I'm scared to move and to change. And I just knew something else had to be better than what I had done, because
Yeah,
I'd done it in that moment, in those years. And I was like, I'm literally not growing. I am not changing. This is fundamentally going to stay the same. So
yeah,
sometimes when you're like, I have no idea what it has to look like, just take the leap and you'll figure it out as you jump. You're
yeah,
not, because all you know in that moment. So for me, I had no idea what was about to happen, like no idea. But all I knew was I couldn't stay there anymore. So I literally took the jump and I was like, I'm just going to figure it out moment by moment by moment. And it was terrifying. And it was that terrifying moment of, how do I do this? Who am I? What do I have to do? It created and recreated the woman I am now, because I grew that resilience. I grew that self-awareness, that ability to go, sometimes I'm just going to jump and I know I'll figure it out because I've done it before. It's
yeah.
scary, but it's fun as well.
Yeah, it's like been there, done that. I can handle this, you know?
Yeah,
Yeah.
pretty much.
It is. I mean, and as I learn more and more, it is truly you just have to take action. Like you just there's no playbook, there's no manual to life. I mean, in anything you do, and it's like we sit here for so long and we're like, well, how do I do this? Or what, I don't know what the next step is. You just have to take
Yeah.
little action brings so much clarity. And I think that's so true. That's amazing. Okay, so you moved halfway across the world,
Yeah.
and then you had said that you had met your fiance right now. Is that right? Is that when you met him? And then you said within like what, 10 months into your relationship, you decided to up and just like
Yeah.
like
So
just blow it all up and sell everything. And that's like my almost my favorite part of your story, because I'm like, oh my God, if I could convince my husband to just sell everything right now, he's like, we cannot do that. Like,
I'm such a like a freedom person. I'm like, I have to just have freedom. I'm
oh,
like, I just want to
feel
do, where
that.
he's a lot more grounded, stability, and I'm just
Yes.
like, let's just go.
Try
Now that
it.
now that we've got like a 3.5-year-old, you don't have as much of that luxury. But
Sure.
so I moved over in January 2017.
Okay.
And so my visa was running out in January 2019. So I had 2 years in the UK. And then I met my partner when I had 10 more months left on my visa. And he's English.
Okay.
And so I'd had a whole year in the UK and done all that. And I was not wanting or looking for a man at all, at all. I'd been on a
Sure.
man ban for like 3 months before that. And I'm like, I'm a single woman. I got there.
That's
And then,
right.
yeah. And I saw him. I'm like, oh, he's the one. Like I
I'm in
just
trouble.
I'm in trouble. I literally was like, I'm in trouble. And then we've basically been inseparable ever since.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah, he's amazing. And we were getting closer to like the end of the year when I had to go back to Australia, and he'd already been in Australia, so he couldn't get the visa again. He could
Right.
only get the partnership visa, which at the time was about $7,500. Or I could get a visa there, which was pretty much the same amount of money as well. So we're like, look, we've been together 7 months. Do we do a visa to somebody else's country because we don't know what we want to do, or do we just actually sell everything and travel for a year and see if the relationship's worth it? So we're like, let's just travel and see, because we're like, if we still like each other after spending 24/7 with each other, then we've got something special. So we did. We sold everything. I had a house, I had shares, I had everything. He sold all his furniture, everything as well. And then we just traveled Southeast Asia for an entire year.
Oh my gosh.
It was so much fun. It was the scariest, most exciting year of our lives. And we landed in Bangkok, Thailand. And that was when my business started, because I opened my laptop and went, right, how the hell am I going to make money online?
Right, now's the next step. I gotta fund these travels right now. Yeah.
So then it literally just started. I was like, right, what do I have to do? Let's just do it.
Um,
Figure it out
that
every step of the way.
that's amazing. Oh my gosh, I love that so much. That is like a dream come true for me, because that's what I honestly would love to do more than anything, is just travel. Like I would homeschool my kids. I would try. I mean, again, like you said, it would probably be a definite relationship tester. I mean, my husband and I have been together for years, but it would still It was
Oh
still
my
doing.
God. It's like another level where you're like, okay.
Yeah, it's like, oh my
Okay.
gosh, I didn't really know this person.
You're like, I love you. I'm just gonna go for a walk and get some fresh
Mhm. I need some space right now. I cannot be anywhere around you.
air. Yeah.
I get that. I totally do. So, as you were making this decision to travel, were you like faced with any kind of criticism or judgment? People are like, "What the hell are you doing? Like, you're crazy." Like, were you faced with any of that, and how did you
All of
push through
it.
all of it, all of the above?
All of it. So
Really?
so if I look at it now, so I had moved from Australia when I was 26 and I
Okay.
was single. I was very single. I was like at the height of my career there. I was in a very stable, quote unquote, like traditional job. And I'd
Okay.
moved from there to then the UK where I wasn't in a traditional job. I was just like, I was experiencing life in a different level than I never ever had. The people back home had still saw me as 26. At the time that we were traveling, I was now 29.
Mhm.
And the people in the UK were like, "What is she doing? How could she do this?" So there's such a contrast of people going, "How are you going to do this? What's happening? Who are you trying to be?" And for me, I was so confused on my own identity of who I am. How am I going to do this? Who am I to do this? And I really struggled. I think now looking back, I struggled in solidifying who it is that I wanted to be, not who I thought others wanted me to be. So I was
Right.
really mixed up in that. Now, because I've been doing it for 5 years, I'm very much like, this is who I am. It's fine. Some people will get
Take
it,
it or
some
leave it.
people won't.
Yeah.
But I think one thing that I really did incorrectly at the start, which if I can give any advice to people,
Mhm.
only tell people who know what it is that you're doing or have done what it is that you want to do. I
Right.
told a lot of people who were in traditional 9 to 5 jobs who I was like, they're going to love to hear about this. And all they did is criticize me. All they did is tell me all the ways that I'm doing it wrong because they had no idea what it took to build a business. Um,
Right.
they weren't doing it because they were like mean or anything. They just did it because they had no idea. So
Yeah.
tell people who genuinely know what it is you're trying to do or who have done it. Don't tell people who have no idea because they're going to give you their limitations on it.
Absolutely. Yeah, because and people I think and they don't most people don't do it out of, meanness or anything like
Mhm.
that, but they just criticize what they don't know. They if there's something that's so outside of their belief for it to be possible, even they're like, no, don't don't be venturing, into that world. But so that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, just kind of keep your circle, keep it within the circle of people that will support you.
Yeah, and I think because it's taking me it has taken me and continuously taking me years to build my own self-confidence, to build my own self-belief. So
Mhm.
if you don't have a lot of that at the start or you're working on it and you tell other people, it can be really quite fragile.
Right.
Um, so it's definitely just I like to keep a little bit more to myself now until I do it and then I go, now I've done it.
Yeah, now I've
This is
done
what
it.
I've done.
This is it is what it is. That's
Yes.
right. Yeah. Well, and I think that is the kind of it's the ultimate goal that we would all like is to get to a point where we're so comfortable knowing who we are, like who our true self is. But I mean, like I've struggled so much with people pleasing my whole life. And
Mm.
I'm just getting to a point now where I'm realizing, I don't care about what others' opinions are. I mean, it's one of the main reasons I went forward with this podcast because I was so scared for so long to just put myself out there and just I worried about looking stupid or messing, which I still am. I mean, to a point, but I'm like, whatever, I'm just doing it messy. It doesn't matter. If I mess up, I'm going to edit it out. The beauty of technology. But I think it's amazing that, you got to that point and you're secure in who you are right now. Because I think that's the goal that everybody would like to get to.
Yeah, and I think one thing on that, it's never a destination. So I'm so much
Sure.
more secure than I was when I started, but I'll be even more secure in another 5 years, in another year. Um,
Absolutely.
I think I've definitely on your point of, doing it messy. I was a perfectionist, like hardcore perfectionist.
Right.
That really dampened my success for quite a while until I just was like, I just have to do it imperfectly. I just have to mess it up. I just have to be okay that I'm going to make mistakes, and it's
Mhm.
okay that I'm going to mess things up, and it's okay that my spelling isn't the best, and that's okay.
Fine,
Um,
it's fine. Yeah.
yeah. So
Because
just
the people that resonate with you and that, I mean, they're gonna stay for you. They're not gonna care about little spelling errors and little, that's not what it's all about, really. I mean, none of us are perfect. It's like, let's just be real. I mean,
I
humanity is
know. I have
perfect.
to say, I'm so fortunate because my clients are incredible and I adore them. And I will I'll be the first to say, like, my zone of genius is strategizing and conceptualizing your business to, where you want it to go. But
Mhm.
ask me to get to spell check, yeah, not so much.
It's
Not
fine.
my zone of genius. And they're like,
It's
that's fine. We understand as long as
it's
you
a
know where you're at. I'm like, yeah, that's cool.
That's right. It's a minor detail. I mean, you help them so much more in other areas. It's all good. It doesn't matter. Misspell a word or two. That's awesome. That's amazing. Well, okay, so I am going to get into your business a little bit, but I just have one more question about your travels. Like when you did decide to go full on travel Southeast Asia, did you guys have like an itinerary, or was it kind of like, you know what, we're just going to wing it and see where we end up, and like how did that all play out?
Yeah. So Tom, my partner, he's really, really good at like directions, and he's really good at getting us. So I'm really good at telling you where I want to go, and he's great at getting us there.
That's
So that's
awesome.
kind of the method of what we always followed. So we knew like it was a logical choice to get to Bangkok, Thailand, because it's one of the major places you can go. So we're like, let's just go there and then let's just see. Let's just see where we go and what we want to do, I guess. And because we were living day to day on a budget, like at one point we were living on $7 a day, because money meant time for us. So we had to be very, very crucial. So if we ran out of money, we both had to go to our own respective countries and be away from each other. So we really had to be like, where are we going to go? So when we'd get enough money, we'd go, right, where can we go now? And then we would just research and be like, cool, let's go here. Or I feel like going a bit more into the waterfalls, or feel more like I want to go to the beach. And then we would just go there. We're a bit more like we don't necessarily have an itinerary. And that's how we still travel. Like,
That's
which is really cool. I like that. Not having too much of a plan. We have a bit more of a plan now than we used to.
well, it is a little bit different when you have kids, like tagging along. You need a little bit more of a plan, but I totally agree with you. I'd much rather have like a spontaneous kind of a
Mhm.
trip, because it seems like anytime we've ever had a plan, like any kind of an itinerary, it all goes to crap. Like for some
100%.
reason, like it doesn't work out. So
No.
it's, why do
And
we do this?
exactly. And I think because we did that the way that we did it for a year. So we created like very new neural pathways. So I understood different connections and different habits. And
Sure.
because of that, I flow so much more in my business and when things go up and down, which is brilliant. Because I remember we went to the Philippines and we were at an island called Siargao, and that's where I learned to surf. And it was such an incredible, incredible island. But they
Wow.
had barely any Wi-Fi. And I think we had like 2 weeks worth of money left. It's
Oh my.
barely any Wi-Fi. So I couldn't work. And I was like, well, what are we going to do? We spent 3 days trying to get off the island. And it was like, oh my God, what are we doing?
I need to get connected
I
somewhere.
need to be connected. So it was like those moments where you're like, maybe we should have looked a little bit further into, this. But at the same time, it was also nice to be like off grid. We were just stressed because we had
Sure.
minimal funds remaining.
Right. You needed to get the money coming in. I get it. Yeah, totally. You need that Wi-Fi. That's a that's a huge thing. Oh my gosh. That's awesome that you learned to surf though. That's amazing. How
We
cool.
had
Do you
so
still
much
surf?
fun.
Do you still surf right now? Like when you have the chance? Yeah.
Not as much in the UK because it's cold.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
don't like the cold as much.
I don't blame, yeah, I don't
So
either.
when we moved to Australia, when we had our son, I surfed
Mhm.
there a lot more.
Awesome. Amazing. That's so cool. Okay, so for your business, you said that you opened your laptop up and you're like, okay, I have to figure
Yep.
something out. So where did it go from there? Like, was consulting kind of just a natural thing for you to go into, or did it evolve from something else, or how did that all come to be?
So it was actually, and I wish I'd heard this when I'd first started. So for anybody who's listening or will be listening to this,
Mhm.
they're like, I want to do something like that. What I did is I wrote down what I'm good at, like what I'm actually good at, what my from a career standpoint, from like schooling, what am I genuinely like good at
Right.
doing? What have I kind of always done? So that built my confidence to be like, well, I know this is the area, because when you're first starting, and for me, when I first started, I was like, I don't know what to do. I could do this, I could do this. Oh my God. How do I narrow down what to do? And the thing is, with business, it always evolves and grows. So it's never just that one thing.
Mhm.
So I've always been forward fronting with clients. Like I've always been, since I was 16, I was a broker. So I was consulting in the financial aspect.
Right.
So I've always been forward facing in that. And I love it. I've always just helped people achieve their goals. So it's always been something that I've really liked to do. And because I lacked the confidence, I was like, oh, I can only give people, like, they won't take my advice. I'll just make business plans, and I'll just make pitch decks and stuff. So it
Right.
started off a bit like on that
Mhm.
end. And I was like, I'll just write a business plan for somebody, and I'll just do a pitch deck. And then I started getting more of my confidence. And then I was like, I think I'm actually really good at this coaching and this consulting side of things, like the strategist. And I'd always wanted to find my zone of genius. So what I would do is, I love trying to create new offerings and what I like and what the client likes. So I would create new offerings, and I'd be like, did I like that? And everything for me is about my enjoyment with it, because you'll
Yeah.
always make money. You can build any business you want, but go further and you'll have a lot more fun if you actually connect it with what you enjoy doing, because there's literally millions of different businesses you can have.
Sure.
Was like, I want to do something I enjoy, so it energizes me and I can like innovate and do all these things. So when I would create a new offering, I would scale it like 1 to 5, 5 being the best. I love it, one being, yeah, not so much. And then I would do that over and over and over again. And then it kind of naturally formed into this strategist, this consulting coaching role, that
Okay.
I realized for me it was about helping clients get from the journey of where they want to be to where they want to go, but with the external structures of, this is what the business has to actually look like. This is your internal like foundation, but this is also your mindset. This is what you need to build in terms of the resilience, in terms of how you show up in your life, how you show up in your business.
Yeah.
Um, and that has just been so much fun. But it's been a constant, like, every day, is this what I enjoy doing? Is this not what I enjoy doing? It's not something that I figured out overnight. It took a while.
Sure. I mean, it's all trial and error. And I think it's so interesting that you say that, because the last person that I just interviewed, she also said very similar things as far as building a business. Go with what interests you, go with what you like, because you are going to get lit up so much
Yeah.
more. And
Mhm.
that's when the money really starts coming in. Like, I think there's so many situations where people go just for the money, and I mean, that's fine. Like, of course, you got to make money, but when you kind of, I guess, you're more in tune to what really lights you up from the inside out, like, and go for that. I mean, it makes such a difference in your life and your business. That's amazing. And that's why you've been so successful, because you do that. That's such an amazing story. I love that. And did I read somewhere, clarify for me, did you build like this huge business without really any kind of a
Social media.
website, any kind of
Yeah.
thing?
I don't
That
do
is
social
such a
media.
that's such a unique way, because, well, I mean, honestly, because there's so much, like, I think everybody feels like, I need a website, I need social media, I need all this
Oh
stuff to
no.
grow. And like, no. So, oh my gosh, that's crazy. So you basically just, did you reach out to people, or did you just post on like Upwork? Or like you said, Upwork, I guess, is where you
Yeah.
your
So I think, and this goes to, so yeah, I didn't have a website until
That's
recently.
so cool. I
And I've
love it.
only just started my LinkedIn, more so just to build more like networks. And because what I do is, like, I have a team of consultants and project managers and stuff all around the world. So I want to kind of get to know more people and collaborate more. So LinkedIn's kind of that for me.
Yeah.
Um, But yeah, I didn't have that. No. So I had Upwork. So Upwork is like the largest global e-marketplace for freelancers and agencies. So it's already a warm place to find clients.
Right.
So I was like, well, what do I, because I remember when I first opened my laptop, I'm like, I kind of need to make money like in the next 6 weeks. How the hell am I going to do that? I can't build an Instagram following in 6 weeks, and I don't want to.
Yeah.
And I was like, my website needs a longer time to get like certified on Google and to have more of that traction. So I was like, well, what can I do? And I was like, why don't I just go to the platform where people are looking for work? Cool. That means it's Upwork. So then I just doubled down my efforts there. And
Okay.
then I became the top 1% expert on there. So my profile's like really viewed, which is wonderful. Um,
Sure. Yeah.
and so then I just did that.
And the rest is history.
And the rest is history. I did start doing stuff on Instagram, and I did a YouTube channel for a while. And then I realized it was my way of self-sabotaging, because when I would have to market myself on Instagram or whatever, I would just play around with like the font has to look like this and it has to go. And I was like, that is not revenue generating activities. Why am I doing this? And my brain is not, it is not, it can't figure that side of the workout. It does more of the like high end stuff. When I'm
Right.
talking like the minute detail, it basically goes into overload and I can't function.
Yeah,
So
it's so overwhelming. Like all the choices. Like it's
yes,
so overwhelming.
so overwhelming. So I was like, I cannot do that because it literally stagnates the growth. So I was like, well, what can I do? So I got rid of Instagram. I got rid of my YouTube channel. And that's why I'm like, I'll talk to people. I will just connect and talk to people. So I can share my story on other platforms,
Mhm.
but I don't have to manage it. And then also like just go where the money, just go where the money's coming from. And it was just so simple that I overcomplicated it.
Well, and I think that's the case for a lot of us. Like we do overcomplicate
Yeah.
everything. Like I said, I think you need to have all of this stuff set in place and it has to be perfect. And like Instagram pictures have to look like this and they have to, and it's like it's just too stupid. You don't need any of that stuff. You just need connection with other people. That's basically what you need. That's what it's all about. It all comes down to is just that connection.
Mm.
Oh, that's amazing. That's such a cool story. I mean, oh my gosh. And you're still growing like from here. I mean, you're still doing that. This is like your 5-year plan. Do you still see yourself building this same business, or have you ever thought of venturing off into doing something else? Or
Well, I'm actually, so I partner, so the business has kind of grown to the point where like I'm collaborating with business owners and having like part equity in their business while we're driving it forward. So I'm kind of building other people's businesses. So again, it's similar to like instead of me setting up my own platform, I'm already
right,
having people who've got an existing business. I'm helping them scale from like 7 to 8 figures or whatever it might be, and then
sure.
that equity. So I don't have to do the starting phase, because that was the thing that I realized as well through all of this, and it's all trial and error. And trial and error means lots of mistakes.
Oh
Is I
yeah.
realized I am so much better when I'm given like specific data and parameters to innovate around. If
Right.
you ask me to help somebody with a startup, I can do it, but I might go all over the place. So I need to have a bit more of a framework. So that's where I've realized actually I'm really good in the growth phase of a company. Um, so yeah, I want to continue to work with CEOs to build really impactful, because my whole belief is you can build a profitable and impactful business. It's not one or the other. You can combine the two and then create and help people become the leaders of tomorrow, so that we can have generations of people that have really impactful, really heartfelt businesses that are thriving, that have a clear strategy, but also have a very clear mission of how they want to make the world a better place. So I'd like to continue to partner with businesses like that. That would be
Oh,
really
yeah, that's amazing. I mean, I think yeah, it's so important because I mean, these businesses, especially because you said you also piece together like the mindset work as well within the strategies, and I mean try helping the businesses grow. And I mean that's really when it comes mindset, my kids get so sick of me saying this, but like mindset really is everything. They're like, I know mom, mindset's everything. Like I'm like, yes it is. Like I will say this forever for the rest of my life, like it is everything. And I think that's so it's a unique way to help businesses grow as well, to include that in there because it's so necessary.
Oh
It
God,
really is. It's insane. But okay, so I'm trying to be mindful of time here. I know we don't have a ton of time, but I guess so okay. So what trying to think how to say this for any listeners that would be interested in starting a business,
yeah.
like something similar to yours, or just any kind of online company, virtual assistant, any kind of, yeah, I mean, a consulting business, like what would be like one or two pieces of advice for them to get going? I mean, maybe either in the tech part of it, like what they need to get started, or like even mindset work, like what their mindset needs to be, to kind of take the leap into the online space.
So there's always like, so I'll give a couple of different bits of advice.
Mhm.
So decide who you want to be. So that's really crucial. So the person you are today who's not started a business, you know what you know up until this point. The person you are tomorrow who's starting a business is going to be slightly different, and then you want them to be slightly different, because for you to create something new, you have to become someone new. And that's a good thing. It's not a scary thing. It's not a bad thing. It's a really fun thing. But you also get to decide who that person is. So that's how I kind of faked it till I made it with my confidence. I didn't have
Mhm.
a lot of confidence, but I was like, well, who is she going to be? Who is the woman who now runs a global consulting company? How does she show up? Who is she? What would she do in this situation? And then I started tapping in and stepping into that version of myself every day. And then I was like, oh my God, yeah. And I became her quicker and quicker. But look at the two things. So whenever you're scared or whenever you're like, oh, you feel a resistance, ask yourself, what is it I'm scared of? What is the best case scenario in this? And what is the worst case scenario in this? Am I resourced enough to get through the worst case scenario? And if not, how can I be? And if the best case scenario was to happen, how would I feel? And a lot of the times when we're first starting, it's that best case scenario that we're resistant of because we're like, can it really be that good? Um, so ask yourself that, but also in terms of the infrastructure, do not overcomplicate it. And this is from somebody I helped so many people before I started my own business. And I was like, keep it simple, and I overcomplicated everything, which just wastes resources and you don't need it to be overcomplicated. So what is it that you're doing? Who is it you're helping and how do you help them? If you're helping them face to face or you're helping them on Zoom, you just need Zoom and you just need a booking link for them to book in to see you. You don't need a fancy website. You don't need fancy social media. Word of mouth is still the highest form of marketing. So reach out to the people you already know and just take that one step. And then once you take that one step, the next step will be unlocked. Then the next step will be unlocked.
Yeah.
You're never going to know every single step. And that's the beauty of it because you get to change it in every moment if you want to.
Right. Yeah. And I think, like I said before, I think there's so much clarity through those actions, those baby steps that you take. I mean, you don't realize it, you don't think that because I think just it's human nature to want to know the path, that we want to know exactly where we're going, how much time it's going to take, And I think there's so much to be said about that. And as far as overcomplicating it, I know myself, I will create busy work for myself as a form of self-sabotage, as a form of perfectionism. And then I really have to look at like, okay, what is this doing? Like this is doing nothing for my business. This is doing nothing to move me forward, and I think that just being mindful too of what ways you self-sabotage yourself. I mean, being aware of that is so important too when starting any kind of venture like that, because you're just gonna veer off on like a million different paths. I mean, if you're anything like me, I've got like a million tabs open in my head every single day, all the time. Like I just need
100%. Mm-hmm.
yeah, focus on just one thing and just move forward. So I think that's amazing advice though. I think that's awesome.
It was interesting because after I gave birth to my son,
Mhm.
I I worked a lot on my mindset and I was like, I really want to like scale. I had a figure in my head of how much I wanted to earn. And I was like, I want to do this and then we can move back, we can move to the UK and we can do all these things, blah, blah, blah. So I had this like 6-figure amount in my head that I wanted to hit.
Right.
I was like, and he slept for 2 hours in the middle of the day for his naps. And then I literally had 2 hours to work on the business. And I was like, I had to drop 85% of what I was doing, which was the
Yeah,
busy work. And I was like, I have 2 hours to do the work that moves the needle, that makes the money. So what does that look like? And that was the stuff that scared me because of the success. Like, I know it sounds so silly, but I was doing all the busy work so I wouldn't have to be the woman who was successful, because I was scared of what that would look like. I was scared of
yeah,
who she would be, because I had this self-belief that if you're a CEO, you're mean and you're doing all this. And so
right.
that's why it's so important when you kind of go, who is this person? Because you can't necessarily control the outcome, but you can control your reactions to things. So it's a
Absolutely.
lot of the times when you don't know who it is you're wanting to be or who you're going to be in those moments, that you're unsure how to show up. But if you go, well, you know what, in this moment, I'm going to show up like this no matter what, you give yourself a little bit of compassion and grace to be like, I'm going to still make mistakes, but I'm going to hold myself like this. And then all of a sudden things start to move, because you've dropped that resistance to, I don't know how to handle this. But it's like, how would the person who can handle this well be? How would she show up? And that was so transformational for me.
Yeah, I think that there is so much importance behind that, is just trying to figure out, like, embody the person, like yourself 2.0, just embody that. I actually did an exercise not all that long ago where it was doing exactly that. It's like, what does she wear? What does she do? What does her morning routine look like? And it was hard at first because I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah,
Don't know
because your
this
brain hasn't
person.
thought of it, so you haven't connected the neural pathways, and you're like, and
Yeah.
unless you can see it, you can't create it. So you have to be able to
Right.
see it first, and then you create it. So it's that
Yeah.
practice of, even when you're not sure what it looks like, you still try and piece
Absolutely.
together.
Yeah, piece it together. Exactly. Yeah. And I think we have these, like you said, these like ingrained beliefs in ourselves, like fear of success, but we don't look at it like a fear of success, or even a money mindset that could be messing with you, and you don't really have the belief that you can make that much money, or you think if you do make that much money you're going to be greedy, and like, or something is going to happen. I mean, there's so many ways we can just jack each other up. Like, our minds just totally mess each other up. But I mean, yeah, it's all about clarity, getting clear on who we really are, our true inner self. I mean, that helps us grow so much in life and in business.
Oh,
Mhm.
definitely. And
Yeah.
you allow yourself, like, there is no perfect path. There is
Right.
no, not, you don't wake up and go, this is exactly what I'm going to do today and how I'm going to be today.
Oh,
It does it all zigzags, and there's ebbs and there's flows, but it's when I think for me, I've realized the entrepreneurial journey for me has become a self-love journey. Through
yeah.
all of my many mistakes and all of my, like, the moments I was down and I was like, I don't want to get back up. I'm not going to get back up. I'm just going to stay down here.
Yep.
I'm just going to stay
Okay.
here.
I'm
And the
done.
moment,
I'm tapping out.
yeah, yeah. And then the moments I didn't hold myself as I had wanted to, and like all of those moments, but then you do get back up and you learn to forgive, and you learn, and then when you learn to forgive yourself and get back up, you have more compassion for those around you, because you realize actually they're on a similar journey, whether it's entrepreneurship, motherhood, pet, like whatever it is. And there's just this, like, ease that you start to flow into. And when you're in that ease of life, the money comes on. Right.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Uh, edit that part out. That's fine. Sorry. Go ahead.
Speaking of, yeah.
Yeah, speaking of real life. Yeah. Oh my gosh. But yeah, no, I totally agree. I think that, I mean, you just have to roll with it and see what happens. And I mean, give yourself the grace and let go of shame, because we're so stuck on shame,
Mm.
making a mistake or failing or whatever. Just get back up and try again. I mean, decide what kind of a life you want to live and go for it. I mean, that's pretty much all there is to it. It sounds simple, but it's not. I mean, it is simple, but it's not simple.
And I want to say on that, just because you want to create the life, I think for me, when I first started in this, I was like, for me to create a life, it means it's going to be happy and it's going to be rainbows and sunshines all the time and it's going
Right.
to be amazing. but it's not. It like, yes, there are days where I'm like, I cannot believe I've created this. This is incredible. But
Right.
you still have to make big decisions. You still have to, you're still sad. You still have moments where you've got shame you got to work through. You still got moments, like life still happens. It
Yeah.
doesn't go away, but you have the ability and the resilience to handle more of it. And when you
Mhm.
handle more of it, you can handle more money, more success, more impact, like
Right.
all of that. It kind of comes with that. Yeah, I felt like I had to say that because I think so many people are like, it's just going to be fine, and why is it so hard? And it's like,
Yeah.
it's hard
Well,
because you become someone new.
absolutely. And I do think that so many times, we look at happiness as a destination, like once we make six figures, life is going to be great. Once we build this business up to a certain point, life is going to be great. Once I have this car or this house or whatever, and I've said this before, like I think that you just have to what is the real, like whatever it is that you want, it's not exactly what you want, it's how it's going to make you feel inside. I mean, six figures, it's not going to make you happy, it's going to make you feel a certain way, but what is that feeling that you want from that money or that house or that car or that trip or whatever? It's the feeling that you need to figure out. That's something that I'm just now learning. I'm just now learning. It's such a journey. I swear, this life is such a journey. And I mean, I'm like, it's taken me decades to learn this stuff. I'm like, why couldn't I have like gotten this when I was a teenager? It would have been so much easier. It would have been great.
It's amazing, isn't it? It really is. And I think I didn't know, I didn't understand that or realize that until I started my entrepreneurial journey. And then I was
Right.
just like, oh my God, like it is really, it's conceptualizing a vision of what you want. So first being able to see it in your mind. That's why
Right.
like doing visualizations is really powerful, or doing journaling, so then you actually know what it is you're trying to head to. But then it's actually getting clear on what those feelings are for you. And like what you'd said earlier about the freedom piece, freedom a lot of the time is like freedom from self negativity, freedom of choice, freedom of being able to just feel happy without having a reason to feel happy. um
Right.
and the clients I work with, it's always, I'll be happy when. I'll be happy when I sell the business for this.
Yes.
I'll be happy when. And these are like, multiple seven-figure business owners. They're like, I'll be happy when. And you're like, you were meant to be happier way back then.
Oh, it's like you just keep drawing a line, you just keep drawing a line. You're never going to meet it. You
No,
got
and
to.
then you've taught your brain to not be happy
Mhm.
until you do something. So you're suppressing that feeling. And so all of a sudden you've learned to not be happy. And then
Yeah.
that's where how you are. So
Yeah.
a lot of, when I say earlier about the mindset, a lot of that piece is about reconnecting and reminding my clients that you get to continue to grow a business that you actually enjoy and be happy. There's a lot of and work that I do. It's like impact and profit, happiness and like a lot of money, like all of that stuff.
Absolutely. You can have yeah, it's not an either or type situation. It's like a yes and.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's very, very important to, yeah, to point out because the we need to be happy in the moment, like with our lives exactly the way it is right now. Otherwise, I mean, it's not going to matter how we grow or what we do or where we go if we're not happy in this moment, exactly like with ourselves and maybe our situation. Yeah, I mean, you might not be perfect, but you got to look at it from a lens of gratitude too. I mean, for sure, and be intentional and present and happy in the moment. I don't even know where that came from. I'm just probably rambling right now. It's like, how do we get from this to gratitude? Okay. that's so
Gratitude is
that's how I
gratitude
roll.
is powerful because you
Yeah.
can't feel fear and gratitude at the same time.
Yes. Yes,
So it
exactly.
is like taking
Yeah.
that little bit of a leap and being
Yeah.
like, let's just cultivate a little bit more gratitude at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, it does. It makes a huge difference on like your mood and just like energy that you give off into the you put out into the world. It makes a huge difference. It really does. Oh my gosh, Caitlin, this has been so fun. Have been just so excited to talk to you, and I think we've had a really, really good conversation today.
Yeah.
You've given a lot of good advice, and I just adore you already. I love it so much. I love your story, and I would love to talk to you again sometime down the road. What for now though, like if the listeners would love to find you and figure out more about what you do, where can they find you?
Such a good question.
Yes.
Um, my website, thekcc.co, and they can find me on LinkedIn, Caitlin Cook. I do have a personal Instagram, but as I said, I'm not very active on it.
Understood. It's all good. No, that's all right. I'll be linking like all of this stuff in the show notes as well. So yeah, if there's anything else that you can think of that you want me to put in there, just let me know. But I so appreciate you taking the time to talk to me today. And this has been so, so, so much fun.
Yeah, I appreciate you, and I appreciate you for being a mom of 4 children and going, I'm just gonna do it, and feeling the fear and just doing it anyway, because that's such an empowering thing as a mother and a woman to do, and your children will see you do that, and they will
Thank you
feel
so
that, and
much.
they'll make
Thank
that decision. So
I appreciate that so much. It's been a long time coming. I think I started thinking about doing a podcast probably 4 or 5 years ago, just now getting around to it, but it's fine as long as I'm doing it. Little late, better late than never. It's fine.
well done, and all the very, very best. And I'd love to have another conversation with you. This was really fun.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Caitlin. You have a wonderful rest of your day.
Well, you too, love.
All right.
Bye.
Bye-bye.